Mysterious apocalyptic virus strikes. It kills you in your sleep the moment you close your eyes. Fortunately, Morrow works the night shift as a security guard. He hadn't fallen asleep when the virus began spreading, but when he arrived at his friend's party after his shift, he discovered with horror that all his sleeping friends were dead. He rushed his friends to the hospital, only to find it filled with people who had fallen into a death-like sleep. The nurse explained that tonight's patient influx had left them severely understaffed. Like other family members, they could only wait in the lounge. But soon, Morrow noticed something was terribly wrong. A family member waiting nearby, overcome by exhaustion, fell asleep and died foaming at the mouth. They rushed to alert the nurse, who instantly sensed something dreadful. Turning around, she saw the sleeping head nurse had also stopped breathing. They tried calling the police, but no one answered, so they drove to the police station to report it. But when they stepped onto the street, they discovered it was rush hour, yet the streets were completely deserted. Ella fired a shot into the street, but again, no one responded. Only then did they realize that anyone who fell asleep would die instantly. They had only survived because they were working the night shift. Morrow rushed to his girlfriend's house. Fortunately, Lena was still awake. It turned out Lena had been suffering from severe insomnia lately, which was why she had managed to avoid the disaster. They explained the situation to Lena. The town had been infected by an unknown virus. Anyone who fell asleep would die instantly. Therefore, they absolutely could not sleep now. To stay awake, they returned to the hospital and took stimulants used by the Air Force, which could keep them awake for over 3 days. Suddenly, agonized cries came from the ward. To their astonishment, they discovered an elderly woman unaffected by the virus. It turned out she was a terminal cancer patient. The constant pain made sleep impossible. She had called all night, but no nurse came. Upon learning what had happened in the town, the old woman felt even more despair. This meant all her loved ones were gone, so she made a decision to take her pain medication and sleep. She asked the nurses to analyze the virus's cause. Perhaps it could help the group survive. As the old woman entered the scanner, she began to drift into sleep. Ella observed her brain scan and noticed a beta wave spike just before her heart stopped beating. This meant her true cause of death was dreaming. Could it be that everyone had been killed by their dreams? Just as despair gripped the group, Morrow suddenly volunteered to sleep. The old woman had only dreamed for 3 minutes before her breath ceased. Therefore, he would sleep for only 2.5 minutes, and then be awakened. This way, he could enter the dream to search for clues. As Morrow fell asleep, he soon awoke from the dream. Strangely, he found himself in a barren grassland, with an iron chain bound to his foot. No matter how he struggled, he couldn't break free. He could clearly hear his companions calling out to him, yet the chain seemed to sever his connection to the outside world. It prevented him from waking up. Morrow shouted for a day and night, until a vehicle finally arrived, carrying his long-deceased mother. She brought him a cup of coffee, telling him it would restore his consciousness. But just then, a strangely dressed old man appeared. With a gentle tug of his hands, his mother vanished back into the vehicle. The stranger revealed the cure for the virus was hidden on an island called Aristella. Then he stepped back and disappeared. At that moment, Morrow was awakened by his companions. The dreamlike day and night had only lasted 2 minutes in reality. Morrow told his companions about the island of Aristella, but it lay thousands of kilometers away. Then Mike, the pilot, had a bold idea. They could try flying there. So everyone hurriedly gathered stimulants and headed to the airport. Mike found